Hello, and welcome back to the Nonprofit Spotlight, a podcast that takes a deep dive into some of the nonprofit organizations that are in and around the Northern Virginia and DC area and abroad. And today I am excited to have Tom Powell and Monica Springman from Caroline Furnace. Thank you so much for being here today. Can you take a moment to introduce yourselves and tell us a little bit about your roles at Caroline Furnace?
I'm Monica Springman. I'm the Director of Programs at Caroline Furnace. This will be my fourth summer. Fourth summer being in this role. I started my first summer was 2012 and then took a long break before coming back in 22. And I basically run summer camp with a lot of help from a lot of people, and also help with any programming for our hosted retreats, the retreats that we take care of on site as well.
Fantastic. Well, again, welcome both of you. Thanks for being here. Can you tell us a little bit about how you might go about creating programming and content so that those who come out to your space encounter God in the natural environment?
Yeah, of course. My favorite thing is hearing from the campers of their Bible story, the Bible study that they had during their creek walk, and they sit in the middle of the creek and actually sit around talking about the day's theme and how it connects to their everyday life and what they've learned from it and how they can take it into their next steps. But really, truly, Tom's thing about driving in, you get a sense of peace, and it's not just us driving into work every day or all the time. We hear it from our vendors, we hear it from our retreat guests, we hear it from everybody. And so one of the things we say within that is welcome home, to create more of that environment of welcoming and being a part of that community, which is Caroline Furnace. Um, but being a part of that nature, being a place apart, being disconnected from the outside, your everyday life, the your devices, and being kind of forced to see up and around you constantly. You find your own ways to connect. It could be as simple as sitting in the big field for a couple minutes alone, or even walking from the cabin to the dining hall, being in that space. Or it's as big as tree climbing in a tree, or uh, canoeing on our lake or swimming in the lake. So there's lots of ways we connect and lots of ways we are involved within our programming, and not just with our summer camp, but also retreat guests have similar experiences of that. Our school groups that come out and be a part of our ministry, and definitely our other programs like Wild Women and Beer Reformation, where um, we always spend a couple minutes, and if they don't get enough time in the outdoors as they have wanted, we hear about it for sure.
Yeah. Being out in nature and making a comfortable, inviting, engaging space for the variety of folks that come out to Caroline Furnace is really important. And so I noticed that one of your core values is environmental sustainability and making sure that creation is cared for. Could you say a little bit about some of the programs or some of the initiatives that you all have on site that make sure that the space that you have that's such a treasure continues to be treasure for generations into the future?
Yeah, I can share, and then Tom can put in his 2 bits too. Um, for sure. Recently, within our way of trying to connect our land to sustain it a little bit longer and to make it healthier, is the forestry came in and did some removal of some trees, to help new growth come in, so the land is healthier and happier and wonderful of that. Um, so our woods actually look a little sparse right now, but it's healthy. We have built a solar pavilion, in hopes of having a new program site to do things, and a space that we didn't have to drag more power lines and things out there, and it can all be run within its own self, within its own building. Um, the campers learn, we recycle all the time. We wish we could do a little bit more, but we talk about as much sustainability with our campers as possible of how they can help. And then on the bigger scale, Tom, what else do we have there?
Yeah, so really creation care becomes a core value for us. We have a pretty extensive nature trail that not only covers history, but covers all the variety and diversity of the environment around us. We're blessed to have one of the most biodiverse pieces of land that any organization can have. There's a creek that runs right through the middle of our property called Passage Creek. Monica referred to that as kids love creek walking at camp. That seems to be a real favorite during summer camp for any place that has a creek in it. But this one's special because it starts 2 miles north of us in the National Forest. And we are the first private property that it enters. And biologists have told us that it's one of the second cleanest creeks east of the Mississippi River. And they can tell that by doing creek studies. So we really want to focus on helping this land just stay the same as it has been for thousands of years. Right next to that creek is a big spring. It's labeled Big Spring. The oldest maps, even back to probably established by George Washington, not sure, but the oldest maps we've seen of this area labels it as Big Spring. And the first evidence of people that we found on this property have been around that big spring, because you can just imagine that our native friends would have come here and hunted and fished and used that location as a baseline and used that creek to traverse through the land. And the more we can educate our guests and our campers about taking care of the land, the better we will all be. We even do some of our own gardening. We've done some education on the Three Sisters gardening technique, and really focus on any new buildings we did, like the latest being the solar pavilion Monica talked about, that we incorporate some type of sustainable energy effort into that. So it really becomes a core value for all of us to include the education piece that's in our mission statement. I could tell you all of the activities we've done and that we practice, but I think the real core is that it is embedded into our promotion of faith and education here at Caroline Furnace.
Yeah, I was hoping that you both could elaborate a little bit on that, because environmental stewardship and care and love for nature is not only a core value for Caroline Furnace, but also a core value for the larger church that you're a part of, the Evangelical Lutheran Church in America, and is kind of central to a lot of your programming. So maybe you could take a couple minutes and talk about the integration of the camp environment, the natural world, and the connection you have to the church, both local and national.
Yeah, so some of the key things that we're doing are recycling, right? And it's amazing the amount of scrap metal that just continues to always be here, and we don't just put it in a landfill, right? That scrap metaling about once a quarter, whether it's an old refrigerator or some type of trash like that, we want to make sure if it's recyclable, we can do it. Everything from aluminum to plastics, and specifically with plastics, when we invite our guests here, we're like, please bring a reusable water bottle. Please do not bring plastic water bottles. If they do, we're very intentional about making sure it goes to a place where it can be recycled and reused in the future. It's kind of the what our responsibilities are as a people and as a church. We have a herb garden and vegetable garden and Three Sisters garden. We have gone from a place that was, when you have thousands of guests here, even something as simple as wastewater is really important to make sure it doesn't go on the ground. Now we have a full wastewater treatment plant that was built around 30 years ago, and we completely renovated in 2018. We do a scratch kitchen with bulk packaging and minimal use of processed food. We do adopt a highway right outside 3 miles of road that's in front of our property. And we educate our kids a little bit through something we call Bread Tag Club. So back in the 70s, carrying around a package of Wonder Bread, there was always a little bread tag on it, because they would carry a package of Wonder Bread and make bologna or peanut butter and jelly sandwiches for their lunch meal. But they would save that, and as they taught campers or guests about leaving no trace, they were encouraged to take that bread tag and put it on their shoelace, and were inducted in the Bread Tag Club to always think about the impacts that we as humans have on the earth. And Monica mentioned a little bit about our forestry program. We started a forestry program 30 years ago. And when we've had to clear out trees, we actually have a pine tree farm on property. And in the future, we'd love to have a pollinator and have some of our own bees here. So all of that we do is integrated with our responsibilities with the greater church. I'm not sure if that's the example you were looking for, but those are some specific things that we do.
Yeah. Or maybe you can say, Monica, if you want to share a little bit about like the theological components of the programming that you offer, or what's kind of core and Lutheran about Caroline Furnace as a whole.
I'll do my best. I'm still learning Luther and Luther versions of it. I come from a Methodist background of that, and John Wesley and Charles. So I'm learning a lot as I go. But what I have learned is we're very similar in a lot of things. We do everything of our programming outdoors. Our worship is outdoors. Our morning worship's outdoors. We do have a couple indoor facilities, and now we have the pavilion built. Rarely do I say, yeah, you guys can go into our indoor upper room building. I think the only group that goes in there is our acoustic camp because of their instruments. But we are outside pretty much the whole time. We are integrated within nature and what we're doing, which is great in many ways. So we are literally spending 7 days, 5, 6, whatever many days out in nature within this space, becoming more comfortable within our space, becoming more comfortable within ourselves, not just our campers, but our staff as well, our young adults as well, being out there, as well as volunteers and anybody who comes out to us. We play games out there. We learn about our pollination field. So we have a big open field by I call it the farmhouse side of camp, where our pavilion is, our main field. And we have our pollination fields are very visible. And it's one of our rules at camp too that we do, of like, be respectful of nature. And we make light of it by silly skits, but at the same time, like, you see that big field, we're not running through it. That's for our friends in nature. This past summer, we had Yona come out. I don't remember her last name, but she came out and talked about snakes. Our theme was how to be brave. It was created to be brave. And one of the things everybody's scared of is snakes. A good chunk of the population, I feel like, is. And so she talked about like how not to be scared of snakes, and gave us education about snakes, and let us hold and touch and feel with the snakes. And then they were able to take that morning lesson in with them throughout the day, and then relate that back into God, and relate that back into whatever study that they talked about that day. With our programming during the summer, mostly, we integrate God in the conversation and their faith and their foundation through everything that they do, whether it's canoeing, whether it's just a regular hike around or sitting at the picnic table talking, everything is connected back to their faith in some way or thing. With our Faith 5 at the end of the night, which is our devotion we do at the end of the night that they do before bed. We always connect their day back in somehow and try to relate it into it. Some of the other ways we do that with our uh, with Tom might be able to be better about the Lutheran theology of it all.
Yeah.
But we do have pastors that come out. Hold on, Tom. We do have pastors that come out that volunteer, that are able to help guide our young adults and our campers as well through their whatever big questions they have that our staff cannot answer or are not like, I don't know, let's go find out together. We're big into that discovery and learning. We're big into grace, into loving, that overall blanket of love your neighbor and love yourself. And hopefully we get that across, even if they're not a part of a faith-based background.
Yeah, Monica, I think the important thing that is that every year we establish a theme, and that theme comes from a Lutheran outdoor ministry curriculum that's written by pastors and like years in advance, right? Like 18 months in advance, they write it. And we incorporate this theme in our activities, our programs, and our plans for the entire year. As Monica said, everything we do is welcoming. Just like many other religious nonprofits and outdoor ministry sites, I think the key value difference is the approach of full grace and the demonstration of a love in all that we do. We usually kick off this theme with our Christmas card every year. This year, we celebrate Romans 10:8. But our little focus on it is not only does God's word come near to us on our lips and our heart, but it also comes in nature. And it comes through all the guests and campers and ministry partners that come through this place. Every day, there are 5 times that we touch the curriculum and the theme, right? It starts in the morning, and then with a worship at a campfire, and then we do a Bible study before lunch, and then we spend some time doing activities out in nature, and then we spend some time in the evening doing another campfire or some type of game and activity that also incorporates that curriculum and that theme. And then finally, we close the night with our cabin, on a cabin porch or on a picnic table, doing the Faith 5 that Monica talked about. So they can really process the day and think about how God has been with them all day. And then throughout the week, we do different things. Thursday night worship is probably one of the most powerful experiences for any summer camp. The night before you leave, the kids have really gotten to know each other. They've been vulnerable in front of each other. And that's where we really practice some of our Lutheran theology and the way we worship together in a small church that was actually built in the late 1890s and moved here and built by some Lutheran men in mission back in the early 90s, rebuilt here. And this Thursday night worship mimics a church setting. It helps branch camp to church, and it's led by our young adults. And our hopes are that there might be one camper that has attended this service and really felt the same goosebumps that I feel every Thursday night. And they take it back home and say, hey, Mom and Dad, let's go to church. And that's where we really want to do the full connection. And whether it's a Lutheran church or not is not important. It's just important that they go to church.
Yeah, community is so important these days, and something that our culture should be thinking about more. And that's really one of the fun aspects of having this conversation is the ways that organizations like yours are engaging both on the local community and the regional community. So having those kids connect there and then bring that back to their community where they came from is super important. So I'm guessing that there's probably in several of our listeners that would love to experience Caroline Furnace. Could you say maybe a little bit more about the ways that people could come out to that space? If there's age ranges that you have to be in, or if it's open to everybody, or just how could someone be a part of what you're doing and experience it firsthand?
Yeah. Um, so our biggest ministry, well, I say our biggest, our chunkiest ministry of the year is our summer camp. If you are a young adult ranging 18 on up, or even an adult who wants to come on out and be a part of it, we look for staff, um, hopefully 18 and older. And I say hopefully because sometimes we get some kids who are just who loves camp alone and want to be like our support staff and our behind the scenes. And so we do those on special occasions. Um, but you're welcome to come on out to volunteer for a week, volunteer to be a part of us in some sort of way. Um, we have a volunteer work week in the middle of the summer. Our youngest campers, like if you want to send your kids here, our youngest campers are rising first graders and two rising seniors, that you're 17 years old, kind of thing. We encourage our older campers of 16 and 17 to be a part of our leaders and training group. If you are interested in learning some leadership skills or want to see the back end of working at a summer camp and what that looks like, we offer that opportunity. You get trained for 1 week, and then your second week, depending upon where your skills and lie, it could be doing support staff, it could be with a camper group, being a counselor, it could be hanging out and learning the maintenance side of our facilities at camp, um, and doing projects, and however it best fits you. Our camper programs range from our explorers, our first through third graders, our voyagers, who are fourth through sixth graders, pathfinders are seventh through ninth graders, and then our mountaineers are ninth through 12th graders. And we just added these names to these ages this year, mostly because I got tired of trying to do numbers and people and places that its names are just a little bit easier.
Yeah, those are some great names.
They were test grouped by a whole bunch of people this year, and so we're grateful for our program team to help put that together for us. But yeah, that's a great way. We also offer family camps this year. We have 2 weeks of family camp. Our first week of summer, which is July 6th through the something, and then our last week of camp that ends on August. It's like that first full week of August is our last week of camp, and there is also a family camp. Families can look at anything as you'd like. It can be grandparents taking grandkids. It can be aunts and uncles taking nieces and nephews. It can be a single parent. It could be a mom and dad and all their kids' friends with them as well. It doesn't necessarily have to be your whole family kind of thing. It could be different varieties of it. Come in and experience a week at camp. We offer 1 2-week program for middle and high schooler age, that is a little bit more high adventure based of things. But come in and spend time with us. Outside of camp, we offer, like coming up here really shortly is our Bear Reformation Retreat, which is fairly Lutheran in my world of that. But this beer has been brewing since February, not February, since November or October of this past year. And they get to partake in that one. I think the beer this year is themed around, I think it's a presidential theme,
Hmm.
right, Tom? Um, and then we also have local pastors that come and help with our theology for that weekend. Um, and we offer work weekends and things of that. Come on out and hang out with us and help our facilities and be a part of our volunteered to help our facilities get better and grow. So there's lots of things going on.
Yeah, so those are programs that we do, Mike, but um, there are opportunities for groups that are established within a congregation to come here. We've had confirmation groups, women's groups, men's groups, couples retreats. There, there is a small farmhouse that's fully adult friendly that sleeps up to 20 people. You can just come as a couple to get away and stay in our apartment. We have a loft apartment. If you come with a larger group, you're probably going to be in our cabin village, and it's going to be a little more rustic because it's bunks, but very comfortable. And you got to just want to spend some time outdoors. And we have lots of activities that can be done here. And we have a really beautiful, modern, large space that Monica referred to called the Upper Room, that we have council retreats that have, come here, a time to get away and really focus on what your own mission is and what you want to do with your own organization. And certainly people like Monica and Pastor Heidi can help come to your church and help your groups decide what they want to do. So if you don't have a formed group or you have some interest in people that want to come here, we have the resources to be able to come help you.
That's awesome. There's such a abundance of opportunity for so many ages to be engaged. That's fantastic. If there was folks that wanted to support you all monetarily, do you take donations? Is there like a portal, or if people wanted to do some of that volunteering, is there a sign up, or how do people go about doing that as well?
Yeah, definitely. Our website is pretty extensive. There's a donate now button, and you can go just click on that, and you can set up a monthly if you want to just give a little bit every month, or you can give any kind of donation that way. That's probably the easiest way for most people. But we like to say three things, Mike. First, please pray for us. This outdoor ministry is an extension of your church. Please pray for the work that we're doing for all God's people here. And the second is participate in some way. You can come volunteer. Our volunteer events are listed under events on our website. We have a work weekend in the fall and spring, and then during summer camp, where you can come help us continue to improve the property and do light renovation work. So participate or bring a group here. Participating is really important. And then the last one, of course, is providing. Yeah. We depend on donations. It's 50% of our revenue and part of our budget. And whether it's as a whole congregation or whether as an individual, we highly encourage and would love to talk to anybody about that.
Great. Fantastic. Is there any bigger gifts you're hoping to get in the near future? If there's some big donors out there that want to support this ministry?
So we're really working on that as a board, right? So we have, like your church, you have your council. We have a board of directors because we are a separate 501c3 that's fully partnered with the ELCA. And that's really where we get our nonprofit religious status from, is through the ELCA and outdoor ministry itself. But we're working on a strategic plan, and we are really working on some visioning, trying to decide what the next step is. Where is God calling us? One of our focuses is to try to improve and grow in our adult space with more comfortable lodging space other than a summer camp cabin. And one of the things that we're working on right now is continue to improve those cabins. One of the things we did last year is put air conditioning units in the cabins that the kids sleep in, because it's getting warmer and hotter, and climate change is having an impact on outdoor ministry. Fans and open windows don't work as well, and we want our guests to really be able to rest. So it cost us around $5,000 to renovate a cabin and fully insulate it and put in a mini split and improve the power there. We've actually recently submitted for a grant on that for a multi-year for that. And then continuing to expand the solar, right? The solar panels we have on our current pavilion, it just powers the facility itself. We'd like to put more panels up there and do a power buyback with our local Shenandoah Valley Electric Co-op. So those are probably the three biggest, right? The future of adult lodging, more adult lodging, current cabin renovations, and more solar panels. Those are the real biggies.
Nice. Those are great initiatives. Well, is there any other topics or elements of Caroline Furnace that you'd like to share with our listeners before we go?
I would like quickly just to talk about the challenges that we're all having in DEI today. So we really have been blessed with a total inclusion initiative through the ELCA, and we're really starting to learn more about ourselves, evaluate our organization from all aspects of DEI, and focus on how to truly be welcoming for all people. This really starts with the understanding of our own personal bias, and we've spent some time with our staff and our board doing that, and really understanding the basic colonialism that established this land in the first place. There were some difficult things of slave labor that occurred here during the iron ore industry. And we really want to understand the full makeup of not only the church, but our local community and the guests and campers that come here. Back in 2019, we really began exploring and getting feedback from all aspects of diversity, inclusion, and accessibility. And then in 2022, our board of directors actually established a DEI task force, and this continues today. And anybody that's interested in this work, we'd love to talk to you about it and incorporate it. But it's really important work, and we want to make sure people know that we're focusing on this. Everything from can a person in a wheelchair get around in the outdoors, and what's it going to take to make that happen? So I really wanted to talk about that a little bit. And then the last thing that I just want to quickly mention is we have been a place that young adults find themselves and where they can fit into the future of our church. Believe it or not, we can track right now 58 current rostered pastors have worked on staff here and found their calling here. Of course, all of them have different reasons and things that they stories that they tell about how they got their call here. But we are a place set apart that you can come really focus on living in a ministry environment for the whole summer and figuring out if that's really something you want to do. So I think that's the reason why we like to call ourselves a pastor production machine. I mean, pretty much one pastor a year is pretty incredible just to think about the impact that this ministry has on the future of our church.
That's great. Thank you so much. I've really enjoyed our time together and the conversation and learning more about Caroline Furnace. And it really does sound like a magical place that anybody could be a part of and experience all of God's creation. And thank you two so much for the work that you do, the leadership that you provide, and the diversity of programs that you offer. It is really a magical, fantastic space, and we're grateful for time and your valuable time that you share with us today. Thank you so much.
Thank you for inviting us, Mike. This has
been
awesome.
Thank you for this conversation.
Yeah, thank you. Well, peace be with you, and I hope the coming summer camping season is fantastic for all.
Yeah.
Thanks.
Thank you.